I'm cheap. I'm pulling a small one.
Tastes better than it smells. The smell on that is pretty rancid. Welcome to the Structural Snack Town, the podcast where we build your knowledge of steel construction and break down the best snacks one bite and beam at a time. I'm your host, Zach Bauer. On each episode, we'll be diving into the world of Raeco Builders. We're going to explore the ins and the outs of commercial and industrial construction, all the while taste test and rank some of the best snacks out there. On today's episode, we have Tom Jurgens back again, the owner of Raeco Builders. Raeco was started back in 2009 with a vision and passion to bring quality and innovation to the construction industry. So thanks, Tom, for coming back again. Round two.
Thanks for having me. I will say I'm a bit nervous.
Yes, if you've watched these before, if you're tuning in, we did our very first episode with Tom, and we had exotic meat sticks. And so round two, we thought it'd be appropriate to swing back around a little bit in the exotic realm, and we're going to actually snack on Asian Lay's chips. I didn't put exotic in there because they're not super exotic, but they're going to be unique to our American flavor palette. So thanks again.
No, thank you. And I thought it was going to be fine until you told me what they were when we got here.
Yeah, so we have 6 snacks. Snack down is we'll discuss 6 questions and then jump into 6 snacks. And then at the end here, we'll kind of rank our favorite one, or marginally favorite one, whatever you think. And today we're going to talk a little bit something different, a little bit more of a focused episode, kind of diving in and discussing a little bit of the AC 478 accreditation, which if you're tuning in, we will talk more about that and what that actually means. And so we'll start here with snack 1. We'll jump into this, and then I'll ask you the question. And so this very first snack is... from what I got from Google Translate, is Sichuan peppercorn crispy meat flavor. So, it doesn't specify what kind of meat, but you can try one.
I will try one after you're done.
Kind of has the realm of barbecue flavor. The smell is probably not as good as the taste. A little spicy there.
That wasn't horrible.
No, it's not too bad.
No.
Had a little spice. Well, I want to start here first, Tom. Maybe those who are unfamiliar with what AC 478 is, maybe talk a little bit about what exactly is that accreditation and what does it signify really in the metal building construction industry.
So AC 478 is a program that was put together by the IAS, the International Accreditation Service, as well as the MBCEA, which is the Metal Building Contractors Erectors Association. And the MBCEA is an association built up of vendors, contractors, focusing to improve the pre-engineered metal building industry, which is what we're passionate about, right? And so they developed this program, the AC 478, which it's a program to ensure safety, job site specific safety, quality of construction, and it's a very intensive program that, to my knowledge, I think there's only 26 of us accredited throughout the United States.
Yeah,
but it's job specific, it's safety, it's assurance to quality. It's things that a lot of people don't think about when they go to build these buildings. You know, like for example, we build these buildings on concrete.
Yeah.
That concrete needs to be at a certain strength to be able to support this building. Well, we can't, now that we're accredited. I mean, we wouldn't do it before, but now it's etched in stone. We can't build on that until we know that it's that strength.
Okay.
And so it's a good policy for the industry. It's a good policy for the peace of mind of the consumers. So I'm very impressed with it. And it was intensive.
Yeah.
And I was happy to be a part of it.
And so has this been something that you've been thinking about for a long time or had known about?
Yeah, so I got involved as a member of the MBCEA, I would say probably back in 18. And that's where I became familiar with the AC 478. Okay. And then it was just making sure we had the right pieces of the puzzles together in place to go forth with the accreditation.
Yeah.
I've always been passionate about trying to improve our industry, to improve the value of a pre-engineered metal building, to help its reputation.
Yeah.
and just to help clean up the industry. And this is our part as a contractor and a director of ensuring that we're doing our part to help clean up this industry and make it better for the construction industry, for the consumer, for the manufacturers, for everybody involved.
Yeah. So kind of going back, we'll jump in the next question and the next snack here in just a second, but maybe just give a brief kind of how you started Raeco. I know for those maybe who haven't seen the first episode, I recommend going back and watching it. But if you haven't, give us a quick kind of snapshot of how Raeco Builders got started.
One of the biggest things is I was a district sales manager traveling a lot. And I wanted to be off the road, be home and raise to see my kids grow up. And I had seen some holes in the industry that I wasn't real fond of that I thought we could improve on. And that was maybe my main focus when I decided to do this. It wasn't, again, it was to be there for my kids and help them raise up in our family. But it wasn't to just go have a big conglomeration. It was just to make a living and support my family and be there for the kids growing up, I thought there was things that we can improve in the industry, do things kind of the right way, making sure that we're doing building codes, everything's, to codes, no sacrifices and things like that, which unfortunately with our rural areas that we are within, that is something that is not enforced heavily. So that was the main focus. Again, it was all for family. Yep.
And 2009 is when you guys started.
Yeah, 2009, yeah.
For those who don't know, we've talked about this. Raeco comes from the kind of combining of your two kids' name, Raylyn and Cole, is how Raeco was created. I always get asked that when I meet people, or if they spell it Rayco, it's kind of Raeco.
We got to correct them.
Yep.
Yes.
So why is a little bit of the building codes different in certain parts of the area? Is it just lack of ability to inspect and to check on things and to hold things for contractors and construction?
Well, we're in a rural area. And so most areas that are enforcing building codes are your bigger cities. Like Sioux Falls, for example, or Rapid City, or, if you go build in the middle of South Dakota, and we have a state law that, exempts agricultural from having to be building codes just to hopefully make it more affordable for the agricultural producer. Which is something that I'm not in favor of because of the expense of what these buildings have become. There's a way to do it right, meet codes and deliver quality and still be affordable. And so that's I'd seen a lot of that when I was a district sales manager. And so that's the one commitment I made to myself and to our brand, if you will, and even as we've grown and more teammates, that if it don't meet codes, we're not interested in doing it. We'll get creative and be and be out of the box thinkers. And to help meet the end goal for the consumer, but we're not going to sacrifice quality or codes to make a sale. Yes.
No, that's good. Well, this next one here, we're going to jump into squid flavor. Now, I'm imagining this. I should have pre-opened these. I'm imagining the smell on this is going to be wicked. Yep. Yeah, that is I recommend not smelling that before you eat it. But as you enjoy this gourmet squid flavored chip,
I'm cheap. I'm pulling a small one.
Tastes better than it smells. The smell on that is pretty rancid.
I didn't smell it, you're right, but that probably tastes better than it smells. Yeah, it does.
Definitely has a barbecue flavor.
It does.
Yeah. Well, this next one here, talk a little bit about the process of attaining this AC 478 accreditation. Maybe walk us through the process of getting this accreditation through them.
So it started with we had to apply, and then we had to build an office plan. So it's everybody involved in the office is part of this when it comes to the different test results we got to get back, the safety, job site awareness, daily talks, job hazard things. So we basically we had a pretty intensive safety plan already that we had. We had to add to it to meet the accreditation process of the AC 478. So safety is a big important factor in this. And so we had to then do a management system. You know, if we had an issue with quality or whatever else, how we would correct it. What's going to be our game plan of how to make it better going forward. You know, there's no perfect job site out there.
Yeah.
I'm still looking for that first one. But when you do run into that, how are you going to overcome it? What are you going to do? How are you going to document it to whether it's a manufacturer's issue, whether it's whatever the case is? And so it's pretty complex.
Yeah.
And so it took a few months with you know some good work and so forth to get the administrative side of it able to submit for an assessment.
Okay.
And so we had an office assessment done that was performed. I think we applied in October, if my dates are correct. I think the office assessment finally took place, I want to say February, late February. And that was that was done by a Zoom call. We had to submit all the documents, and basically it went through pretty intensive, and there was quizzes and questions and answers and so forth that we went through, and we passed that. And then we had a field assessment where they actually, 2 field inspectors came out to a site. We actually had one set up over in T that we were in the process of building. So it was in the phases of construction. They came out and spent the better part of a day with us.
Wow.
And with that, you know, they checked our JHAs, our JSAs. They checked our plans, making sure that we had all the proper documents to be able to be there building this building, right?
Yeah.
Structural drawings, the concrete test results, you know, the metal building drawings. I mean, the whole 9 yards they checked. And then we had to go through the process of how we're building that building. What were the steps? What were the stages? What did we run into? And things like that. And the one thing I found really peculiar about this that we tend to overlook as we're building is we always glorify if there's a mistake. You know, if an anchor bolt is out of place, or if a hole needs to be re-drilled or whatever the case is, we always make a deal out of that, right? And they're like, well, what issues did you have? And in this particular job, we really hadn't had any issues at that point, you know, and we still haven't, I guess, now they say that. But he's like, well, have you documented that? Well, no, we haven't. You know, I mean, it was, but it was good. I mean, it was good information. So I mean, it was pretty intensive. We went through and did some job site inventories, which is a lot overlooked, things along that lines, and then safety.
Okay.
You know, they reviewed some of our safety equipment, you know, our safety plan, you know, closest hospitals, those types of things that we have to submit all that. Yeah. And it was pretty timing wasn't the best for this day, but I have to talk about this because it's very important to this AC's 470 accreditation. Across the street from the building that we were at, there was another job site that another company was working on that they had people on the roof that were not tied off. Yeah. And we're sitting there going through our process, and we all just kind of looked at the same time, and we just stopped talking. And the inspector looked at me, and he says, what are you going to do about this? I'm like, well, I don't understand what your question is. He says, well, are you calling OSHA, or am I going to? I'm like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I mean, I said, let's try and educate first, you know. And so it was, you know, I felt like 10 minutes, but it wasn't that long of you know, he wanted to go over that site, you know, and not cause a scene, but educate or whatever. And it just so happened that I knew maybe one of the vendors that was on that. And so I was able to reach out, make a phone call, and do some education first before we just created a fiasco. Yeah. But one of the things that he said to me that just, it stuck out and it rang true, you know, we hadn't been accredited yet. You know, we're still in that process. We hadn't got a final approval. But he says that one thing that you need to take seriously with AC 478 accreditation is your deputies now. In this construction industry. You need to help, I mean, in all aspects, whether it's a wood frame construction, you see something that's not right, you know, it's about helping the construction industry as a whole, not just necessarily the metal building, but I mean, so I thought that'd be really interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept to not only represent Raeco and what we're producing, but beyond that in the industry itself. And I know, like most things, you can get so focused on what you're doing and what you're producing. But in reality, you want I mean, obviously that's their vision, is the industry to be set to a standard and hold to a standard for safety and for protocols
and quality. And that's the one thing that when I first learned about this, I mean, that was one of the biggest things I wanted to be involved with it is and get accredited is to improve that image. I mean, the metal building industry as a whole, it's a great industry.
Mhm.
I'm passionate about it. I love the industry. It does need help.
Yeah.
We need to do a better job on the manufacturing side of getting the right people out there promoting the metal buildings. And then on the field side, the construction side, we need to do a good job making sure all people are all educated and properly trained. And so the thing that I guess I forgot to mention is part of that office accreditation is 90, I forget the percentage. It's 75 and above percent of my field staff has to take certain tests. So everyone has to be, OSHA 10 certified, so for safety. And then the metal building industry has erection tests, construction tests that they have to, to tell your knowledge.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So, and they have to be certified. And have to pass this test and carry cards. So that's the one thing that I guess I'm proud of is that we did all that. And it wasn't just, you or I sitting down at a table writing a safety plan. I mean, it's involvement from the entire people that are involved in it. Exactly. Yeah.
Obviously, this is an investment of time, energy. It's not just something you just pass a test and slap a stamp on it. It's been an investment with all parts of the team and safety and those who are out actually doing the construction. Everybody's a part of that.
Yeah, it absolutely. And it's the thing of it is once you get it, the accreditation, you're not guaranteed to keep it.
Yeah.
So they come out annually,
Okay.
and we'll audit our documents, making sure that what we've done is, we're sticking to our plan, because it's easy to put a plan together and not follow it.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so we'll get audited now annually for the first number of years for sure, until we prove ourselves. Yep.
Yeah. And so that's about would you say about a year process?
It
or maybe
took
a little less than a year.
It took probably less than a year.
Wow.
And and there was some, like you said, some financial expense, some time expense, whatever. But that to me was irrelevant to get to the goal that we wanted to get to, and to raise our standards, to try and raise the industry standards, and to ensure that what we're out there focusing into our clients and our customers, our partners that we're building with, that we're taking their project serious.
Yeah.
So that was a big, a big thing.
Yeah. Obviously, you have to have buy-in from everybody who's, committed to it, which obviously our team at Raeco has bought in and committed to, the quality, the safety, following the protocols and procedures and all the policies. They believe in it and doing it as well.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And the thing I found that kind of unique about it is now that we are accredited, not that we ever did anything that didn't, meet specs or codes or whatever. We do our best to deliver the quality product that we strive for, right? We also have, with the metal building construction side, we will build for other people also. And so we've done that since the onset. And it was just ironic. Yesterday, I had a conference call with a company that we're going to build a building for, a large company, and we're going over their pre-plan list and their checklist, what they're requiring. And so it was comforting to say, well, I have to do this, I have to do that. And then, by the way, I need your concrete test back before I can even start going, start working on your site. I'm like, really? We've never been asked that before, And so, and they're a large company. So, it really drove home to me that the commitment to this program, it shows the professionalism. It shows the whole thing. So, it was pretty refreshing.
That's cool. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, snack 3 here. We're going to continue. This is octopus flavor. And I'm not sure how they get the flavoring from octopus or if you can buy seasoning, but it smells a little better than the other one. Ooh. I forgot there's wasabi in there.
Oh.
It's very wasabi flavored.
Does it camouflage the octopus?
Yep.
All right, good.
It does. I was like, ooh, that's very wasabi flavored. Which helps it, I think.
I don't know what you're calling it, but that's awful.
So we talked a little bit about this, but maybe just give a brief kind of here about beyond some of the the processes and some of the admin side of things. What are some tangible advantages that this accreditation offers to our clients that we work with that decide to use Raeco to build their building?
That's a multifold answer, and what I want to say, one of the biggest reasons why I pushed to get into this is I touched on it briefly, to clean up our industry.
Mm-hmm.
I've been preaching with our metal building partners, that not everybody probably should be out there representing a building that isn't properly trained or qualified to maybe be doing such. And it's and with that, we need to also make sure that the people out there building the buildings are properly trained to be able to doing such. And so that was my biggest push to do our part on our end is to make sure that we hit this. And so one of the biggest challenges that we have in the metal building industry, just locally here, Sioux Falls is 250,000 people,
Mm-hmm.
and there's probably 10 pre-engineered metal building dealers here in Sioux Falls.
Yeah.
And there's not that many pre-engineered metal buildings being built.
Yeah.
And so we're all kind of fighting for that little nugget, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the metal building companies, they price what you ask them to price.
Mm-hmm.
And so Sioux Falls is a strong structural steel and precast area because of the good companies that are here that do the structural steel and the precast. And so pre-engineered metal building, the people that have done the pre-engineered metal building in the past has maybe made mistakes where it's given bad taste.
Yep.
And so a lot of architects aren't fans of it. Some large general contractors have had issues with it, and to where they don't want to look at it. And so I was talking to a large GC here in Sioux Falls a year or so ago about this accreditation. He's like, "I never heard of this before."
Wow.
And I said, "That's because it's kind of been squashed.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to do it because of the investment or whatever. Maybe I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
But I seen it. And I'm like, we got to go.
Mm-hmm.
We got to do this." And so my hope on the commercial side of it, to help improve the image of the metal buildings, would be to, there's certain things that architects will spec that you have to be this or that to be able to bid their project.
Yeah.
We get this into their specs that you need to be this to be able to even look at building that building and or bidding on that project, right? That's my end goal, because it's going to ensure that they're dealing with the people that have been properly trained or qualified. It's for the quality of the whole 9 yards, where it can maybe erase some of these bad memories that some of these past people have had with metal buildings.
Yeah.
These metal buildings are so adverse that they can be used in so many different applications than what they're necessarily being considered for.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of my push. And then anything we can do to help clean up the industry, from the manufacturer standpoint down to our level is, selling the buildings, designing them, putting plans together and going out and delivering a finished product.
Yeah, no, I view it from my side as it really sets Raeco apart with that accreditation, with being the only one in South Dakota that's accredited by this. I think it should give, clients and customers that are looking at a building that you're going to get a guaranteed safety, you're going to get quality, not just our word, but we're also accredited, and a track record that shows, yes, we're committed to these things that are important, that you could look aside and push it aside maybe for something cheaper or quicker or easier. But we all know that, when you invest in a new project, a new building, you want that to last a lifetime, and you want quality, you want safety, you want to make sure that certain standards, and for most, myself included, you don't know necessarily what you're looking for. And
Right.
So having accreditation to me gives that reputation that, yes, we hold these standards to the highest, and we have outside group that has looked it over and audited and said, yes, we pass all these and have these in place.
Yeah, you're right, 100%. And that's, the thing that comes, the phrase that comes to my mind is peace of mind.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's whatever the use of this building is, they're expensive.
Oh yeah.
And so to have that peace of mind that, should something happen, these, they're gonna have a support system.
Yep.
They're gonna be taken care of. You're dealing with somebody that's, like you just mentioned, accredited, that's got it, to deliver.
Yep.
It's I just feel it's very important. I feel it's a very good relaxation, again, peace of mind for that consumer, whether it's industrial, agricultural, residential, whatever the case is, that these guys are legit. And the thing, again, I go back to, there's certain areas here in the state of South Dakota where we don't have building inspections.
Yeah. Which is
And
wild to me that's even
100%. I mean, I built a $5 million industrial plant in the middle of South Dakota that had an electrical and a plumbing inspection. There was nothing done on the structural, which, so we went through and we had all the testing done. We had the bolt testing done by third-party companies just for our peace of mind and assurance, which is stuff that the AC 478 is asking for and requiring. We were basically doing it before we were ever accredited.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing that if anything, I've always said I try to be more of an educator than I am, trying to sell you a building, Zach. I'm trying to educate, and that was one of the things that I've always said to our customers. And, we're going to make sure that the light switch turns on, but if the building would happen to, what good's that light switch?
It's great to have an electrical inspected, which is important, 100%, obviously.
Absolutely, yes.
But a structural building, you want that to make sure it's going to hold up. Yeah, especially with the storms and that kind of stuff that we experience in South Dakota.
Yeah, just what we've seen the last 2 days.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'm asking another question here, but we're going to jump into this next one, which is spicy crawfish flavor. So this next question here, I want to just briefly talk a little bit about how does the industry change with the metal building industry, the reputation? What do you see? How to change that? What does that look like in 5-10 years?
I have my goals of what it would look like.
You're not gonna like this one,
really.
It's like you got your mouth open and you went by a crawfish boil.
You're right. I'm not gonna like that one.
Yeah. So speaking of bad taste, why does the metal building have bad taste in people's?
I think the reason that is not having proper education, and proper training, if you will, or whatever. The metal building industry, there's multiple manufacturers out there. And again, just like Sioux Falls, with having, 10 plus dealers or whatever it is here in Sioux Falls that are fighting after that nougat, there's that many more multiple metal building manufacturers that are doing the same thing. And then some will have multiple dealers in one area, so. So if so there's one brand specifically here, and there's 6, that are dealers for that particular brand here in Sioux Falls. And so that is awful. What hurts? what hurts that is you and I could sit and look at a set of plans, and I could see something one way, and you could see something the other way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when they go and they input that building for pricing, that manufacturer is only going to price what they're getting put in. And so in a lot of this bid world stuff, we tend to look at low bid as being the winner one out, right? And so one way to get to low bid is missing something, and more often than not, when you miss something, it's maybe what was needed.
Yeah.
And so then what happens is you get to the job site and you start building these things, and you run into, we didn't have this or whatever, and it's a circle effect. The project starts to unfold, and it gets bad taste. And that's been one of the things that I've worked on with our suppliers is let's maybe raise the level of the people that we're bringing in, to make it, so they're experienced, that they're not just, selling these projects out of a suitcase or a pickup truck, have a team, or, and so that's where I thought in our part was, getting this accreditation, which, again, I'm proud of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important, but then, making sure that the dealers are trained accordingly, I'd like to think that, this will get us to a point where we're selected to come in and not be just the only ones, but I mean, just held with higher regards because of what we've done and what we're doing.
Yeah.
And the same with the manufacturers. I mean, there's an accreditation process they have to go through too to have this accreditation. So, I mean, if we get all that together and help clean up this industry, I think it's a win-win for primarily the consumers, number one.
Yeah.
I do think that this is a more affordable type of construction than some of the other aspects that we run into and compete against. But they're overlooked because of some historical
Reputation. Yeah.
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 Yes.
Interesting. Well, we'll move on from crawfish and get into some seaweed, which I don't know if it's better, but we'll kind of land the plane here with some decent flavors. So I know we've talked about this in a past episode, but I think it fits in with kind of the accreditation that we're talking about with quality. So talk a little bit about, I know, we self-perform in steel in our concrete, and, how do those mesh with this accreditation?
Well, what I've done is, so the AC 478 accreditation is geared mainly towards the metal building industry. But there's a lot of things that, that are in that accreditation program that we've kind of rolled out company-wide.
Yeah.
And which I think is great, and we're able to just use it. I mean, so OSHA 10s, all the OSHA certifications. I mean, we made a standard, equipment training, the whole 9 yards, and then you follow up with the job site quality assessments. Different animal between concrete and the metal building side, but you can use a lot of the same tools or the same ingredients to make this thing happen. And so that's one thing I found pretty cool. There's different ACI tests that we can do and so on and so forth. But the quality, control and programs and so forth, this is, I've seen where we've been able to carry it over. Yeah.
Yeah, which those who don't know, Raeco is unique in the sense that we do have our own, self-perform our own steel erection and our own concrete, which a lot of times when you meet with businesses and consumers, explaining why that's important, and maybe you can give a brief kind of why is that so unique and what's the benefit in self-performing?
Well, a lot of the industry has turned to subcontracting most of the work out, and just doing more construction management or project management, which truthfully, that's how I started. And that's what I was going to do. The reason I started doing the concrete was to uphold the quality that our customers were expecting from us, and we weren't getting it from our subs. And so I'm not talking bad about the subs. Just, qualities, I'm talking schedule, I'm talking, overall finish, whatever the case is. We weren't getting what I was expecting and what my customers were learning to expect from us.
Yeah.
And so that's why I started the concrete side, and then the metal building side fell, same thing. I mean, it was timing. I mean, we could have a building sitting there waiting to be built, and you're fighting with other people's schedules. So it made it challenging and difficult. And so those are the biggest reasons, is to deliver to our customers, is why we're self-performing that. Now there's been a lot of positive gains from that, helping schedules, helping, get these projects completed sooner. We can run a tighter schedule because we know when we're going to be there. We know when the building's showing up. We know we can time it accordingly.
Yeah.
Yes. So to me, that's a huge benefit.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, being able to control two major aspects of a build, and then having one team that are all on the same page, working together alongside each other. And I think that's a unique element that, a lot of people don't realize when you get that.
Right. And so here's the other thing, and this is what, I mean, again, this wasn't my grand plan when we did this, but, that company I was referring to that we spoke of yesterday was asking for those concrete tests. We were actually supposed to start that building August 15th. Well, we've got bumped now 3 weeks because their concrete crew hasn't showed up.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, I can't, if you call me up and say, why are you here yet? I can't blame it on a subcontractor.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just me.
Us. We own,
we own that. And so to me, that's just, it's value.
It is.
And
along with the quality, you have a standard that they all understand and get. And so we know what we're delivering, when we want to deliver it, how we're going to do it. It's unique for sure. Yeah.
And we can speak with confidence to our customer and say, this is what our anticipated date to turn this building over is going to be. And we can have that because we'll control that schedule, so, I mean, I think it's a value. I think it's sometimes it does, sometimes not having those crews makes you more competitive in the industry, you know, but that's a balancing act. I mean,
that makes sense. Yeah.
You know, because you don't have, you know, the work comp and all that other stuff, you know, and I mean, it's a balancing act. And I think we offset that with quality and just
I
speed
agree.
and time to where, you know, our customers are able to enjoy that and understand the value of that.
The results show for itself that
Exactly.
it's worth having. Yeah, for sure. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Well, last one here is teriyaki chicken. These are some heavy duty bags. What'd you think of seaweed?
I thought it was awful. There's still a grass taste in the back of my mouth.
This is very sweet. Nothing too crazy. Almost too sweet. But then the last question here, I want to speak to, for architects, you know, engineers, building officials, how does seeing a contractor with this AC 478 accreditation, I know we've talked a lot about this, we're kind of rehitting it, but what does this do for them? And why does this accreditation matter to architects and engineers and even consumers or construction industry? What does this do?
Again, I think that it shows our level of commitment to the industry. Because again, this accreditation, like I said, you know, we talked about, there's only 26 of us in the United States.
Yeah, which is wild to me to think that that's it.
And there's a lot of them out. There's a lot of us out there that build these buildings, right? And so, to me, that's number one. I don't want Raeco to ever jeopardize not being reaccredited.
Yep.
And so the commitment for our commitment to the AC 478 accreditation and making sure we maintain that, I think what should transfer over to the consumer, the architect, the engineer, whoever that is that's looking at that as, you know, industry professionals. You know, it's again, to me, goes back to peace of mind that we know what we're doing, that, you know, we're going to be safe. I mean, safety is a big issue. We're going to build on quality and all those things wrapped up into one. To me, that's what brought the value to it. You know, and the other thing too is again, we're doing this with just our own crews. You know, there's other companies that have to manage these crews and make sure they hear that. We don't have that problem. But this plan is just, I mean, when we do get into a design build or you know, something with subcontractors, I mean, we're exercising these same.
Yeah, you're holding them to the same standards.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes. And so, to me, that's the biggest value. You know, and just, I go back to peace of mind. I mean, it's just, to me, it's peace of mind, and again, goes back to improving the industry.
Yeah.
From the manufacturer side to what the expectations are from the architect or the engineer or the end owner, in making sure that we're meeting those and with, you know, confidence and just making sure that they're happy.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this and you're interested in more about this, you can go to raecobuilders.com, and we have a bunch of information, resources on it. It dives in a little deeper to it, and goes off a little bit of what we've talked about. If you're interested, definitely go check that out on our website.
You know, and we're going to see more of this too coming up in more push. You know, the Metal Building Contractors Erectors Association is a national thing, national association, and we've got some local, you know, our territorial chapters.
Oh, yep.
And so we're part of the Midwest chapter. I'll sit on the board. We're making a bigger push to get this out there, not only to you know, the erectors and the contractors, but also to the design professionals.
Yep.
You know, just for more peace of mind, because I think it's been kind of a hidden secret, for lack of better words.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the one push that we're going to start pushing forward with our chapter.
Yeah, I think the more the entire industry, architects, engineers start to hear more about this, obviously brings them peace of mind, gives them a reassurance of, okay, you know, this is someone who is hitting these standards. Let's give it a try. Let's meet with them. Let's talk more. And instead of just, you know, having that old reputation of the metal building industry, this hopefully begins that shift of, you know, option for people.
It is, and education's gonna be huge,
Yeah.
you know. And so, I mean, there's certain times where these buildings won't work, but there's more often times that they will work. And so for these design professionals to maybe be able to fit one of these into their design, there's some things that they maybe need to understand about the product and what it's the cans and cannot do's with it, if you will. Where I think it's just, I think it's a win-win.
Yeah, ultimately it's going to benefit them and who they're representing, but it's getting into the opportunity to show and to work together on those is the challenge.
Right. And then I think in time, I'm optimistic it's going to happen.
For sure.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, with that, I guess I want to hear what your favorite chip was. I know your least favorite.
I think that one was probably, it's got to be one of the first two.
I agree.
I would maybe, I don't want to, for people that know me and know how sensitive I am, I would hate to think that this was the octopus, right?
That's the squid.
That's the squid. That the squid would be something that I'd pick as a favorite, but it was camouflaged heavily with that barbecue flavor.
It smells absolutely terrible.
You
should smell it because it is terrible smelling, but it actually tastes decent. I would agree with you. I think that one and the crispy meat flavor was probably the two best. Right. I definitely think the crawfish was the worst. Yeah. And the teriyaki is not too bad. So, well, thanks again for joining me on this exotic food adventure that we go on each time.
Let me pick if you have me back.
Next time you can pick the flavor. And again, if you have any more, if you're listening to this, watching this, and you have any more questions about this accreditation, Raeco, please go to our website and you can see more resources on this accreditation and how we can help you. So thanks again.
Thank you.